welcome back to session 59. And in the last session, I spent some time, shared my experience and my own personal taking. What does it mean when Taoists use the word inaction? And of course, my own personal taking is that it's really about not force your hands to take any action when the trend either you fail to identify, that is, basically indicating the general trend for change, the readiness, or you, I guess, misidentify the trend. So in this session, I want to go a little further on that, to expand a little bit. Which is basically, I guess I want to focus in this session on why or why now. Why not? Basically, put it this way. The Chinese has a old saying, basically, half of the work, the full result, as versus, double the effort and half the result, right? So of course you want to go with the option that is actually, I guess there's no point to waste a lot of time, energy, and resources, to achieve half of the result, if any. So in that case, this is why it would be wiser if you basically exercise your judgment, based on the monitoring, the observation, and then nevertheless, when you are ready to take your own action, it is pretty much because you're very confident that just about, not necessarily everybody, but most people out there already have the consensus and they are ready and willing to go into the same direction. Not necessarily the same pace, but in general, going to the same direction as you are. So in that case, you would not waste your time, energy, being a brave Don Quixote, like I mentioned in the last session. But hey, make things a whole lot easier, make your life easier, and get the job done, right? So that's what Tao is, phrase or term about, action or inaction. But then just remember, also, everything in Taoism is all about comparative. So action, inaction, there's really a lot to it. I mean, what do you mean by action? What do you mean by inaction? Because in a lot of cases, inaction is an action. This is like, we will talk about it in the later sessions. The Taoists believe the biggest sound is actually silence, right? So how do you figure that? It's, basically, if you're in the, I guess, I'm not in the music business, but I'm going to presume if you are in the music profession, you understand, how to, use the, I guess, where, in between the music notes, how do you play with that? I'm sure everybody heard John Cage, how, and what he played. Not necessarily everybody, agree with that, but just I guess, case in point here. So anyway, back to that point. When it comes to that, when do you want to do what action? And what do I mean by inaction could be an action? Let's just say you heard somebody at a very high level of a government of some kind, in sovereignty, and with this rhetorics to threat, some action. On the other side, they may throw back some rhetorics too, basically like, what people say in America, say pissing contest. Yeah, people can do that. Um, does that really uh, carry the significant weight? Was that kind of action? Or you could be just be quiet, really, and then you keep the other side figuring, well, what just happened? What's going on there? I mean, you cannot really figure it out. So in this case, inaction is probably better than any action, right? So what is action? What is inaction? In this case, um, you really, I guess, have to be careful. Look at what is the party that is, basically you're expecting the action or inaction. It's just like, let's say you produce a documentary, right? And TV, that is, or movie. Um, and where is the part you really, really somehow, be very proud of yourself. And people came out and say, hey, congratulations. It was great work. And, how do you feel? Really, deep down, you actually would really appreciate those, comments coming from the people you actually, I guess, weigh more of their opinion than those, it just, the courtesy, politeness, say, oh, it's nice. We see a lot of that in America. People tell to your in your face, saying, "Oh, I like your tie," and turn around, he's criticizing about the bad choice, poor taste, and all that. That's just you don't really care. So yeah, so when you have a good new documentary production completed, came right out of the post-production and you're introducing, and then whose opinion you really, does it really matter more to you? That. Of course you don't share that. But by the same token, you have paintings, you have calligraphies, and everybody telling you the nice words about it, and who really mean what they say, and who just being nice to you, and whose comments really carry more weight as versus the others, or comparing to the others in general. That, right? So now back to that. When your adversaries, the good match or whatever, that you consider worthy, adversaries at the same level with yourself, and you actually do watch and pay a lot of attention what they say, what they do, every move they make. So action, inaction. Now imagine the other side, totally quiet, which is not the typical pattern, in the past, whatever, couple of months, couple of years, all of a sudden so quiet. Doesn't that actually require more attention from you? Like trying to figure out, whoa, what just happened? What's going on here, right? Because now you don't know, what are they cooking? Is this some nuke that's big plane going on? Well, we're mobilizing the satellite, trying to get a resource, allocated here and there and get all the intel. Still couldn't figure it out. Now that kind of inaction, isn't that scary, right? So this is the analogy. Of course, we don't want anything happen, but I'm just saying, action, inaction. Don't underestimate the significance of certain inactions from certain parties at a certain time, because that could be all strategically planned out, executed. That is even more significant than the actions that is basically badizations, or the badizations, like from certain countries, certain government, of certain specific precedents, right? Anyway, back to the point. I just wanted to emphasize, when you make your decision for actions, make sure the trend, the general trend is there. So why? Because you may know so much about what is the right thing to do, what is the good decision, but what you probably did not factor in was the very, well thought through considerations about how to motivate everybody else to, basically to get a buy-in, not only actually the buy-in, it goes beyond that. You need to get all of them to take it as their own. It's like not your decision passing on to them, but it's actually their own decision, individually, collectively. So you don't need to motivate them. They're just going out and, carrying out their own ideas. Maybe somehow, somewhere inspired by you, and you are wise enough not to claim the credit because all you care is the result. So everybody thinks, whoa, that is my idea. I really love my own idea and I'm gonna do it. And that's exactly where you want them to go, right? So collectively, the result of all this, work process, motivated or self-motivated by everybody in the process, that's why you want to make sure the good timing for the action. Until then, you probably want to have the inaction, right? But this inaction does not mean, oh, I'm just, washing up on everything. No, you're still very actively, observing and, analyzing and trying to find out when the, time comes, it's the time for you to opt for the actions. What specific action do you do and why? And nevertheless, how, right? With whom? And what makes things, tick, bigger, better, faster. So with all this is what a Tao is all about. You don't waste your time, energy, resource. You need to make sure everything you do actually counts for the result, right? So we mentioned that again and again. The ends, just the, means, right? We all, kind of have the vision of the results, and we all supposedly have our, eyes on the situation, evolution, and nevertheless, while we're watching how things goes and develops into what direction, at what scale, what pace, the strategy to develop is really very specific, catered to that kind of situation scenarios. So your strategies actually will pretty much I hate to use the word, but to exploit the situation to make sure, the benefit is absolutely, maximized. This doesn't mean, you want to take advantage of people at their own, well-being, their best interest. No, it's just, hey, if they're all fired up to do the same thing that you would like to see them doing, why not just help them, right? Help them to do what they love to do at this point, as versus otherwise you try to work them up, try to push them against their will. Everybody, by human nature resists, that sort of thing because they feel the threat, right? So you say, hey man, this thing that we're doing every day, you look at the routine, it's really not the best practice at all. So we really should do something about it. And I think you should do this, and he should do that, and she really should, change here and there. And I can be very specific. And guess what? All of them, they probably never liked each other, but now they're all rallied just to work against your effort so they can push back. That's kind of situation we're talking. We do not want to get in the middle of it, right? So, sure, You got a perfect plan. Throw it out and let's see what happens. Uh, a lot of time, and that I'm talking straight out of my own experience that I didn't realize before. I got everything really worked out except for I underestimated the effort, the time that would take the entire process that would actually eventually most likely sink the boat because you work everybody and everybody's like, what, you're better than us? I hate that. So not only you don't get things really done to the extent that you projected at the pace you projected, to the extent at the scale you projected, but also in time. They may get sick and tired of you, hearing talking about what's the best practice and why and how everybody is not, as good as they could have been. Who wants to hear something like that? All right, especially Americans. We are very confident and comfortable about ourselves, and we are really proud of ourselves. So when you come along and say, guess what, we really could do something better to make it better, and you're like, really? Wow, I'd like to see how you do that. So I guess with this, it kind of makes sense why inaction as versus action, whereas the inaction is really preparing for the actions to be taken at the best timing when it is ready. So this session pretty much just give this a little more I guess elaboration, if you will. Hopefully makes sense. Especially if you are holding a job like someone responsible either for the strategy, of the development of whatever kind of organization, the for-profit, not-for-profit, or you're at the position, at least as mid management, if not senior management. You would understand, or you better understand a lot of things. It's not just, oh, people didn't think about it. I'm the one all of a sudden, realize, hey, this is something missing. We should do this. In a lot of cases in 21st century, it doesn't work like that. You just have to, in other words, the strategy really you have to factor in the people. If you were in the IT business, you understand 90% of the stuff is not about technical, it's about human. You want to do anything, because in the IT world, lots of time it involves the implementation of certain programs. And then before you get there, you got to do the procedure. And then when you do the procedure, you run into the conflict with the people, all the individuals involved in each and every node of the process. And then that's where you got the problem, right? And so that's why the IT folks always say, yeah, 90% of the problem really come from people. The technical part is easy to fix. And that is also about action in action in the Taoist term, right? So I hope this helped, and I'll see you guys. Well, wait, I cannot say that, can I? Because I already had people told me either I'm a sexist or a racist. I mean, what are they talking about? I'm not even white, but I am a male. So, okay, so not see you guys, but see you people next session, which is going to be session 60. Until then, ciao.